Ever since their addition in Minecraft 1.16, ruin portals have become a staple of Minecraft's terrain generation and gameplay. They are incredibly useful in speedrunning for quick nether access and useful chest loot, but are also always satisfying to come across in regular survival gameplay. It's common knowledge that when a ruin portal generates, there is a small chance for each piece of regular obsidian to be replaced by a piece of crying obsidian, which naturally begs the question, how much crying obsidian can a ruin portal generate with? Are there any portals out there somewhere which are made entirely out of crying obsidian? Well, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. This video will be an investigation into Minecraft's rarest ruin portals. Before we can think about finding rare ruin portals, we must first understand how ruin portals are placed into the world in the first place. To do this, Minecraft splits the world into squares of 40 by 40 chunks. Within these squares, one ruin portal will randomly choose a chunk from an upper left square of 25 by 25 chunks, and attempt to place a ruin portal there. This process happens for every square of 40 by 40 chunks in the world. This means that approximately 40% of the chunks in any world have the potential to spawn a ruin portal. Once a ruin portal has chosen a chunk to generate in, it will make a few different decisions about how exactly it will generate. The first of these decisions is whether or not the portal will spawn above or below ground, which is chosen with a 50-50 chance for both. Next, the portal chooses whether or not it will be giant or regular. There is a 95% chance that the portal is regular, and a mere 5% chance for it being giant. Once that decision is made, the portal will choose which variant it will be. If the portal is regular, it will choose from one of the 10 different variations you see on screen now, and if it's giant, it will choose from one of these 3. And finally, once the variant is chosen, the portal will choose a random rotation and whether or not it gets flipped. This means that for each ruin portal variant, there are 8 different configurations, making for 104 total ruin portal configurations which can be found in the overworld. You may have noticed that I didn't mention anything about crying obsidian there, and that's because the decision about which obsidian blocks get turned into crying obsidian happens as a post-processing step. Once the structure has been placed into the world, the chunk takes the X, Y, and Z positions of each piece of obsidian, and from those coordinates it generates a seed for a random number generator, which is used to determine whether or not each individual block of obsidian should be turned into crying obsidian, with a 15% chance for each. The crucial part here is that the seeding process for this random number generator is based entirely on the coordinates of the block and has nothing to do with the world seed itself. This means that if 2 ruin portals generate at the exact same location on 2 completely different world seeds, the specific blocks that get turned into crying obsidian will be the exact same on both. What this means is that in order to find ruin portals with a lot of crying obsidian, we can first write a program which picks a target structure variation, and for each one of that variation's configurations, calculates what the coordinates of its obsidian blocks will be, relative to the ruin portal's source chunk. Once we have these relative coordinates, we can write a second program which checks every single chunk within the 60 million by 60 million world border. For each chunk it considers, it will create a hypothetical reconstruction of the portal's obsidian, in order to convert the relative coordinate into real world coordinates. And for each one, it will check whether or not this coordinate gets converted into crying obsidian or not. And so that's exactly what I did. To start out, I chose to use the regular ruin portal variation 1, since it's the variant with the portal closest to being completed. I then spent a few hours programming all of this, which also included writing a program which would automatically write the final program for me, for ease of use. Once I was finished and ran my program, I was almost immediately showered with results for valid chunks. This is because, whilst getting 11 pieces of crying obsidian is rare, and beyond anything you would be able to find playing the game normally, it only takes on average checking 1 billion different chunks per result. There are roughly 14 trillion chunks in a Minecraft world, of which roughly 5 trillion are capable of spawning a ruin portal. So checking the entire world at one single Y level, we can expect roughly 5,000 results. Okay, so now that we have the coordinates of a chunk where, if a ruin portal just so happened to spawn with the correct configuration at the correct Y level, all of its obsidian would be turned into crying obsidian. But how on earth are we going to find that from just a set of coordinates? This is where structure cracking comes in. As much as I would love to explain, the implementation details of structure cracking are beyond the scope of this video. Just know that, because of the broken random number generator that Minecraft uses to pick structure locations, as well as all of the configuration details that we discussed earlier, there are incredibly efficient algorithms which we can use which, given a structure configuration and set of coordinates, can very quickly determine every single seed possible which has that exact structure at those exact coordinates. Using this method, I was very quickly able to match our special chunk to a valid world seed. But we can't just stop here, because as cool as this is, we still have a giant ruined portal to find. But for that, we're going to need some modifications. With each additional piece of crying obsidian we want to find, the difficulty grows exponentially, and the unfortunate reality is that there are likely not enough valid ruined portal coordinates across the entire Minecraft world for there to be a portal with all 23 pieces of crying obsidian. So we'll have to settle for something slightly less. The way my filter currently works is that if any of the coordinates in a chunk that it checks are not crying obsidian, then it will immediately discard the chunk as a candidate. But what we'll do instead is count each piece of crying obsidian in a chunk, and mark the chunk as a candidate if the total number of pieces of crying obsidian exceed a certain threshold. For this case, I chose the minimum number of pieces required for a chunk to become a candidate as 20. But in order to find that, we're going to need some more powerful hardware, because my poor 4070 isn't going to crack it here. Luckily, I was able to rent out a 5090 from Vast.ai and let it run overnight. In the morning, I was greeted by a small handful of results. I chose one of them for structure cracking, which yielded the first ever 20 crying obsidian ruined portal. Wait, you didn't just think we were going to stop there, did you? Remember how I said that structure cracking gives you every single seed that has a specific structure at a set of coordinates? Well, there are a lot of them. Thanks to terrain, not every single one of those will be what we're looking for, but a lot of them will be, and each one of those candidates will have a different set of chest loot. Since unlike the crying obsidian, chest loot is partially determined by the specific world seed. This makes it pretty easy to just take each valid result we get from the structure cracking process and calculate what specific loot we'll get on that seed. And we can keep doing this until we find some crazy results. The only question left was what specific items we wanted to look for. My good friend and fellow Minecraft at Home member Fander thought it would be funny if we found a chest with enough regular obsidian in it to build a nether portal. So I configured my filter to output any seeds that had at least 10 obsidian in them. And a short while later, we were looking at a 20 crying obsidian ruined portal with a chest that contains not only 11 pieces of obsidian in it, but also a flint and steel. Only around 1 in every 1.3 million ruined portal chests has at least that amount of obsidian. But I still thought we could find something even rarer. So I reconfigured the filter and went to sleep. In the morning, I was greeted with this. Overnight, we managed to get a chest with 42 golden carrots in it, which only happens for roughly 1 in every 46 million ruined portal chests. If we consider all the factors at play here, the probability of this ruined portal come out to very roughly 1 in 74 sextillion, which is this number, making this the rarest ruined portal in all of Minecraft. Before we end this video, I need to give a very special thanks to the people who helped me with this project. Example, for maintaining a fork of cubiomes which has an incredible API for 1.18 plus terrain checking. Without this, filtering through the initial filter results would have been a lot more painful. Fander, for coming up with the obsidian chest idea, generously volunteering to search through the final list of candidate world seeds, as well as for writing a program which improved on the way I was calculating the obsidian positions for different portal variations. And finally, Chris, for helping and giving me suggestions with various parts of this video. Thanks for watching, everyone.